Scotty, beam me up.
Oh. Smash.
Get over here! It is pointless to resist.
Mr. Big Stuff.
Introducing Oreo Big Stuff.
Who do you think you are? Oreo Big Stuff. Oreo Big Stuff. Who do you think you are?
New Oreo Big Stuff. More chocolate, more cream.
You're big and satisfying, taking you with me all the time. Oreo Big Stuff. Looks like you're gonna go far. Oreo Big Stuff. Oreo Big Stuff. Who do you think you are? The Big Stuff.
Hey mate, what do you do when you see a crocodile?
You run, you slide, and hit the pump and take a dive.
It's Crocodile Mile, the great water slide with splashdown pool. And the incredible boomerang bump that sends you flying. But watch out for the crocs.
You run, you slide, and hit the pump and take a dive.
Crocodile Mile with boomerang bump and giant splashdown pool. From Marshawn.
Welcome to the Geek Den. We got Chris Stiles back with us. It's always a great time having you here, buddy. Thanks for coming
Thank you.
again.
It's always a blast being here. What's up, everybody?
What's up, dude?
Christopher.
We got our friend Stephen King joining us, the legendary.
How's it
Legendary. By the way, I just want to say I loved you as the pizza guy in Rose Red.
Thanks. that was the most important work I ever did. You know, we'll say Shawshank Redemption. I say pizza guy in Rose Red.
I mean, you know, Silver Bullet was a game changer for me personally, and you know, Maximum Overdrive, all the hits, obviously.
It's like the only 80s movie that Emilio Estevez is in that's like really bad. Like every other one is like a phenomenal movie, and that's like the one
pretty
movie.
accurate. That's pretty accurate.
But no,
I mean,
But,
there
you know,
was Men at Work. Men at Work is kind of on the same level as Maximum Overdrive when you think
Well, you know,
about
he
it.
directed Men at Work.
Yeah.
And he has a funny thing that he says. He goes, people come to me and they actually say that Men at Work is their favorite films. And I always ask them the same question. I go, how many films have you seen?
Well, I got some funny stories about my name. One of the really good ones is like a couple years ago I started a Facebook group of like all the Stephen Kings I could find, because like I wanted to like make it like the Council of Ricks, like in case shit ever like hit the fan. I had like a good 20 Stephen Kings that I could rely on, right? So one of them posted it, and I think he was being like a little bit over generous, but he was like, I'm in Chicago, and if anybody ever comes to Chicago, like I'll give you a free Stephen King tattoo. And I was like, guess what, buddy? I'm in cities like every week. Like eventually I'm gonna be in Chicago. So I'll show it up. I got a Dark Tower tattoo from Stephen King. So I got a Stephen King tattoo on Stephen King.
That's awesome.
And then coronavirus happened like a month later, so it's probably my fault. Like I probably.
Oh man, same thing. I got this piece on my hand, which I'll turn it right side up so you can see. It's One-Eyed Willie from the Goonies.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's
That's
like
awesome.
a fucking, my whole hand is like covered, and then like literally like while it's still healing, the pandemic like shuts everything down. I'm like, oh, I guess that thing's real. Like the biggest skeptic. I'm just like,
You're outside,
I'm
there's
not too
nobody
worried
around,
about
and you're
all
just like, hey, you guys. Nice.
yeah. Like, I would turn into sloth, but hey, there are far worse things to be than sloth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you what. There might have been a lot of people who turned into sloth during the pandemic, so you might not.
That's true. Yeah,
That's
in
true.
fact,
That's true.
I can't even entirely say that I didn't.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
As I
Man,
sit here in my like lounge gear, you know.
Yeah. Last year was the strangest year to travel ever, and I flew pretty much every week of it. for work.
Wow.
And yeah, there was like, I had 2 private plane rides where like I was the only ticketed passenger on the plane.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I was thinking about it like when I'm in the air of like all the different things. I was like, there was one pilot flying jump seat. So I was like, both the pilots could die. And I still got one guy left for just me to make sure that I make it here safe. And then I was thinking about like if the plane goes down and like I'm the only passenger and the pilots had to fly the plane for me. So now like the pilots and the stewardesses and me, and then everybody's gonna see the news story and be like, God hated that guy because he was the only reason that the plane flew.
Stephen King's gonna write a horror story
Exactly.
about Stephen King.
Yeah. Like, what kind of, yeah.
And then you got to think you're gonna be the only guy screaming. So like eventually the pilot's gonna turn around and be like, "Will you pipe down? I'm trying to fly."
It was. I really wish I would have had a guitar with me because I would have done a video like by myself in the plane. That would have been like the coolest Pajama Jam ever. But it was awesome. I just like got up and walked around and like I ended up. But the funny thing was like I've flown so many times now for work. Like I've flown like over 250 times in the past like year and a half. And like I never pay attention to the safety shit or whatever, but like for those 2 flights, like I felt like I had to pay attention because I'm like the only motherfucker. I'm like, I know how to buckle my seatbelt, but like I feel bad because she's just doing her job for me right now. Like,
who are you gonna hold the door open for?
Exactly. Yeah, like I'm gonna push the 2 stewardesses out of the way so that I can be the first guy to slide down the slide.
Everybody down the slide. Oh, wait. Okay.
It must have been a hell of a landing, though. You just like jump off the plane. It's me. I'm here.
Yeah.
It's like a president.
It was a weird day, man. I went through LaGuardia, and LaGuardia is normally one of the busiest airports you're ever going to go through in New York City. And there was like maybe 3 people. And I was like, well, it's super safe. Like, there's nobody here. Like, it's super safe to travel.
Yeah, right.
But it's like kind of like, am I the crazy person right now? I mean, it was nice though. I'll tell you what, like I was out on the highways in some of the cities, and like you got on the highway and there's nobody on the highway, and you know you have like a brand new rental car or whatever, and it's just like Need for Speed. So I'm like, what's the cops aren't gonna pull me over? The world's ending. We're all dying. We're not gonna die. Yeah. So, but no, it was fun in a lot of ways though, because I got to explore a lot of places, and a lot of the Pajama Rams, especially like I did 5 in one day in New York City. And I probably never would have been able to do that any other time ever in history, like on the sidewalk in New York City. So I kind of like took advantage of the fact that I was like, nobody's going to be there. So I went down at like 5 a.m. and I started in Central Park and I walked all the way down to Tribeca and I did like 5 videos like on my way. I did in Strawberry Fields. I did Strawberry Fields Forever. There's like a big symbol. It says Imagine on it there in Central Park. It's like right across the street from where John Lennon got shot. And then I went up on the Rock from like Home Alone 2, like up in the middle of Central Park, and I did I Want to Be Sedated by the Ramones because it's like Ramones, you know, from New York. And then I did the Chelsea Hotel, like a ton of different famous people stayed there, like Mark Twain and Allen Ginsberg and Hendrix and the Grateful Dead. But Lou Reed wrote Walk on the Wild Side while he was staying there. So I did it like in front of the hotel. And then I did the Ghostbusters theme song in front of the firehouse. And then I did the Friends theme song in front of like the coffee shop, which that dude was super cool. That was the only one I really asked permission for. And the dude was really nice. He even gave me like a free cup of water, which in New York City, like normally isn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I was like, seriously? I don't have to pay for this? Like, all right. You know, but no, that was a crazy day. But that was the only time I could have ever really done it was like when the pandemic was going on, when there was nobody there. So it worked out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was really nice traveling to work, not having to deal with the traffic. That's 100% sure. Because, like, where I live, it's rural, but you still got your assholes that just clog up the road. And,
everything just kind of emptied. Like, it got crazy online, but, like, the streets were bare.
Yeah. Well, what was really nuts is we landed, the first time I ever came to Los Angeles proper, we landed at LAX and it was the day after the George Floyd incident happened. And like, we weren't watching the news. Like we didn't know anything was going on, me and my buddy, cause we were working. That's when we left Boise, Joey, whenever I hung out with you.
Yeah.
It was that weekend we went straight to LA and, like we landed, we had no idea what was going on. And then like we left and we stopped at like a dispensary, like right outside. And these like 2 Mexican girls working there, like, what are you doing here right now? And we're like, what? They're like, they're literally riding like 2 streets over in Inglewood. And we're like, what? And they're like, they're shutting down the city at 6 p.m. And it was like 5:20 20 at this point in time. So we're like, what? So we just got on the highway and started driving, and the highways were like almost completely shut down, and we got out of Los Angeles in like 25 minutes. It's normally like 3
I was in
hours.
Charleston, South Carolina,
Yeah,
when that all happened.
yeah,
So.
yeah. And it was just, and I didn't. We turned on the radio because there was like we had no idea what was going on at all, and then like we started hearing about what was going on, and they were like, we got to get out of the city now, you know, because they were blocking off the highways and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, yeah, it was interesting, but so
Yeah.
we were in a convertible Mustang that was red. we're in the worst part of Los Angeles. And they're like, what are you doing right now? Oh man, that was a crazy day. Where are all you guys from? I know you guys are from all over the country, right?
Yep. And Matt's from Canada.
I'm from Alberta, St. Albert, Alberta, Canada.
Okay. All right. Respect.
Yeah, New Jersey. Oh, sorry.
Jersey? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm
No, it's
sorry.
all
You're the
right.
one who has to live in Jersey.
I'm from Chicago, but I've been living in Jersey like half my life now. So
okay.
I guess you know I'm Jersey trash, whether I will admit it or not. I guess I just did. So
Well, at least you weren't born there like me.
Well,
I live in central Pennsylvania now. But.
Okay.
Yeah, I am a Pennsylvanian.
Okay.
I'm about 45 minutes north of State College, Penn State.
I know right where you're at. I'm from Pittsburgh, so I'm a Yinzer.
Okay.
So
Yeah. I'm from like Lehigh Valley area, like Allentown. It's close to Philly.
yeah, I know right where Allentown is. Yeah, AB. I've flown into that airport quite a few times and worked in Bethlehem and stuff. Yep. There's this really cool bar in Bethlehem called Rippers. It's like a hockey bar. Yeah, that place is awesome. Yeah, great cheesesteaks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done a lot of East Coast travel, so I spent a lot of time in Jersey, and I just hate the traffic in Jersey, man, and just the driving there. It's just always like I'll leave work in a good mood, and then by the time I'm like at my hotel, I'm so angry because there's like 20 people that just did something stupid on the road in front of me in New Jersey. But it is what it is.
I feel that way about New York traffic. I don't think Jersey's that bad. Chicago is worse, probably, and New York's much worse than that. But you know, LA obviously it doesn't get any worse than LA traffic. But at least you're like, I'm in LA. I don't mind sitting out here. It's like nice, you know.
Yeah. I like coming to Southern California, but I kind of the first time I ever came here, my first opinion of it was this place would have been great like 100 years ago when nobody was here. Like it's awesome, it's so beautiful, I love it, but there's just so many people that it's like everywhere you go is just automatic, like extra. Like we've been wanting to go down to Santa Monica Pier and stuff in some places like down in Hollywood, maybe go to the Comedy Store, and they just opened back up the Comedy Store and started doing shows there again, and then tomorrow everything opens up 100%. Yeah, so and I've been outside the Comedy Store like 3 times now, so every single time I go I like just want to go pay homage to the place, but I've been wanting to go and see a show there for a long time, and I'm hoping sometime this week it's going to happen. So
I hope you get to do that, man. That's a legendary spot right there.
Yeah,
it'd be incredible.
Yeah, even just with the videos, like I've got to check off so many cool places like on my bucket list. And then like there's some places like one of my favorite memories I had was I did the Breakfast Club High School in Chicago, and it was like 15 degrees out that day. But they were like when I got there, I didn't know if like school was going to be going on or whatnot. And they were letting school out on the other side of the building. So I drove back to the back where like the football field is, where he walks across and puts his hand, and I saw like the scoreboard. So I was like, I'll use the scoreboard as my background and just set up my tripod and do it. And like, I remember like, I just did the song. My hand was like, numb, barely working, just got it done. And then like, I looked up and I just like saw the football field. And like, I just remembered like all those years, like watching Breakfast Club over and over again on cable and all stuff. And like, almost like started crying for a second. Like, I can't believe I'm here right now, man. Like, I can't, you know what I mean? I can't believe.
Which school was that? Was that Glenbrook North or was that New Trier? Because I don't know. I know it was 2 schools.
Glenbrook.
That was Glenbrook North? Okay.
Yeah.
So funny story. I was born in a town called Northbrook, Illinois. Northbrook, like 100 years ago or so, was called Shermer. And if I had stayed there, I would have gone to Glenbrook North High School, which is where my mom went. My mom went to high school with John Hughes, and my uncle was like in his graduating class and shit like that.
That's pretty cool. Man.
That's cool.
Yeah, so like I've had a deep connection to those movies too. 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, like even like the Howard Deutsch directed ones, like Some Kind of Wonderful and Pretty in Pink and Great Outdoors.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing.
Great Outdoors.
it's amazing how John Hughes could produce such a huge amount of movies, and all of them felt like they were directed by him. Like Home Alone, like I said, Some Kind of Wonderful, Pretty in Pink. People think like these are directed by, no, they're not. They're directed by other people, but they have that Hughes, like, he wrote them. But what he could do as a writer and a producer.
Such an artist with reality of people. It's like one of the things I love about the beginning of Home Alone is that everybody knows that 90s family who grew up in that time. You had like the one cousin who was pushing everybody around. You had the one kid who was like whiny and wetting his pants all the time. You had the kid, girls that were screaming. And then it was like every house was just chaos like that. And like so many movies and TV shows want to paint a different picture of people's lives of being very smoothed out. And you know what I mean? And it's not like that most of the time. Most of the time it is chaos. And I think that's why like Hughes would capture that. And then, with the Breakfast Club, he tried to, get 6 personalities of teenagers that was like a little bit of all of us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about places you were born, you were born in that area. I'm from Evans City, Pennsylvania, which is where they shot, George Romero shot Night of the Living Dead and The Crazies. So I definitely get you with like being from a place and like connecting with, like, I was connected with the zombie movie genre because that was like,
I'm on the other side of PA, and it's the same way, just because of that. Like, I have such a connection.
Oh, I was gonna say the same thing for me. It's like Chicago gangster stuff, like all that, Al Capone, the 20s. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that's like right. That's in Chicago. That's right there. Babyface Nelson was actually killed in my hometown. And they built a park around where he was, like, where his shootout happened. It's called Langendorf Park. The town where like I went to high school and stuff. So I always felt even connected to that stuff. And like to bring it all back around to like 80s and teen stuff, C. Thomas Howell actually starred in a very low budget Babyface Nelson like biopic in the 90s. And I'd be shocked if anyone here has seen it. It was a direct to cable movie. It was a weird. It almost felt like they stopped making the movie with like 20 minutes left of the movie or something. But like it like has really good production value, and it's just very strange. Like C. Thomas Howell plays Babyface Nelson, and Martin Kove, who's John Kreese on Cobra Kai and Karate Kid, plays John Dillinger. And it's like, that is the wackest, but most amazing thing is watching Sensei Kreese be fucking John Dillinger, and he crushes it. It's so crazy.
It's interesting, the direct-to-TV stuff that they had in the 90s, because they were really, like, there was an audience for it. You know what I mean? Like, now with Netflix and, like, all the streaming giants, like, there's that audience, which, has kind of come around, but, like, miniseries were like a big thing,
one of
my like, I love that Merlin miniseries from the 90s with Sam Neill from
dude, that was awesome.
And Martin Short was like he was the elf character or whatever, and it was just the production value was great. I remember, like, that was one of the first things that I saw with CGI where it was like it didn't seem separate from the story. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't so bad that it was like I couldn't believe there was a dragon there. I couldn't believe that there was something. You know what I mean? That was going on. Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I feel like in a certain sense, it's like CGI. Yes, they have made some obvious improvements, but I feel like in some ways it's like either moved sideways or even gone backwards.
Yeah.
In some instances, like I look at like T2 and I'm like, man, like has anything ever been like better than T2 when it comes to like CGI? Like, honestly, has anything ever topped that? Like, I don't know, maybe not, probably not. I don't know.
I think that one of the big reasons why was because they were trying to incorporate the real life film with CGI. Well, now like they'll just CGI a whole thing. You know what I mean? Like the whole scene.
Yeah, everything's like green screen and.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and also you kind of just have to take things for what they are. I mean, there's certain films that even though like I can be critical of, film and can tear apart aspects of the story, I also like understand what it is. Like, whenever I hear people complain about the storyline in like the Transformers movies, like, it's robots fighting each other. Like, if not every movie is phenomenal, I'm not that upset about it, right? Like, maybe because it wasn't that important to my childhood, or because they made 6 of them, you know what I mean? So, like, 2 or 3 of them are okay, then I'm okay with, you know what I mean? And in the end, like, if I watch it, I'm like, okay, maybe I won't ever watch that movie again. I'm not going to be that upset, I feel like now they do lean on CGI in certain ways. One thing was kind of a little bit disappointment was that Valerian. It was the guys who made The Fifth Element. I can't remember, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets or something like that. It was the same guys who made The Fifth Element, and I was very excited about just because they did such an awesome job with that movie. And it was just they just leaned on CGI to tell the story the whole time. When I was like expecting a story to happen at some point, and it ended up just kind of being a bland, you know what I mean, pretty movie.
I think that actually you answered that question awesomely, because with the big thing with the T2 was the focus of the CGI was just on the T1000 there. Like it didn't make up the whole scene. And then the attention to detail, like when he'd take that big shot and the molten steel would just go around it and it would maintain what it looked like as it warped. Like they really paid attention to that.
Funny when they would shoot him and then the little like silver circles would appear. That was not CG. That was a practical effect. They built these little squibs that like opened up like these with Mylar. It had that reflective thing.
So was it like air pressure?
That's cool.
It was just like an electric thing. Like, same thing as like when you blow a squib, it's on a charge, and instead of blowing like a little thing of blood, it just like pops open this little thing of like reflective material that just like releases the tension of it, so it goes. That's its like natural state. The only time it was CG was when you saw those holes shrink and close up. Then it would be CG.
Those are the effects I love and miss. Like I'm not really that big into CGI because I just miss like the hard work that went into effects. It's so easy.
And the cool little unique things that they would find to do. One of my favorite stories from Jurassic Park is like when they're sitting in the Jeep and there's the glass of water that's sitting on the console, and as the T-Rex is stomping, it's vibrating, right? Well, the special effects guy, he tried all these different things to try to get it to work and couldn't figure anything out. So what he did was that night, his son was like plucking on his guitar, just like on the floor playing with it. So he sat a cup of water on it and plucked it, and it made like the perfect vibration through the cup. So the next day he just ran a guitar string taut like underneath it and then plucked it to get like that effect, you know what I mean, of the T-Rex stomp. And it's like little things like that. It's like,
that's the stuff I love. Like even in Dawn of the Dead, the original, when like he kicks open the door and he blasts that zombie's head apart, it was all just like apple cores and what they found in the trash, and they just filled the head with like fake blood and all these items from the trash. But when they hit it, it just looked perfect. Like that shot is so like realistic, and it was all stuff they found out of the trash to fill that. So awesome.
Look at like everything in the first RoboCop movie. There's no CGI, and it looks incredible.
Phenomenal.
Everything about that. Like the dude just melting, his fingers are like dangling pieces of skin.
I love that scene.
That's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, I had a moment with my girlfriend's from England originally, and she moved over here maybe about like 3 or 4 years ago, but she wasn't very exposed to a lot of pop culture movies and stuff. So it's cool for me as I get to show her stuff. But I had like one of those like the Charlie from It's Always Sunny meme moment, like pointing it out because I was going off about how RoboCop is like this beautiful piece of cinema, and she has to watch it. Like, you don't understand. It's like so real and visceral. And she's like, it's called what?
This is life or death.
Yeah. Detroit, it's the future, it's falling apart. Just pay attention, please.
You will buy this for $1, I guarantee.
Yo, I saw the best fucking meme this week. It was just a fucking Dollar Tree poster with that guy on it. I'm just like, fuck me. That just destroys the internet. Like, that's so goddamn good.
That's funny. And it made all the
like,
noises.
I don't know how the fucking companies like they should be commercials with that guy. Wherever he is, just saying that, or just license the clip. Like, I'd buy that for $1, and then it's fucking $1. Oh, like I'd start shopping there 3 times a week just to like support this guy.
I'd buy everything at that store. Everything.
Yeah,
I did some videos in Detroit, and it's not that far off from what RoboCop was like.
I toured through there when I was younger and had similar experiences. But yeah, I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, you're good. I did 3 videos in one evening because I was driving from Grand Rapids to Pittsburgh back home, And I just was like going to stop there and do them. So I did the Motown House. I did Ain't You Proud to Beg in front of the Motown House. And then actually did the Grand Ballroom, which is like the birthplace of punk, they called it. But they have a big Kick Out the Jams mural on the side of it. Like the venue's been shut down. That's where the Stooges and MC5 first played together back in the late 60s. So, but that was cool. I started doing, like, I set up my tripod and I had like, my guitar and everything. And this like random homeless guy walks up and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm doing this video." And he's like, "Here?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You want me to watch your stuff for you, man?" I was like, "Yeah, here's $20." Like I gave him a $20 bill and a cigarette. So like the whole time I'm doing the video, there's just like behind my camera, it's just like random homeless dude like dancing the Kick Out the Jam. And I asked him like 3 times because he started like singing and like doing stuff. I was like, "You just gotta be quiet, please." Like I wouldn't ask. I gave you $20. Like just leave me quiet for like 3 minutes. And then I did the Third Man Records. I did Fell in Love with a Girl by the White Stripes, like in front of the Third Man Records. But yeah, like
Nice.
the sun was setting in Detroit, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. So yeah, I have another crazy Detroit story too. It's about a Halloween party when I first started with this job where I was flying. We were there, and one of my buddies was there, and he was like, "We're gonna go to this Halloween party tonight. Do you want to come?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." That's all he told me was Halloween party. Well, then like it's around like 10 o'clock. I'm like, "Yo, we go to this party." He's like, "Yeah, it doesn't start till midnight." And I'm like, "All right, like what kind of party doesn't start till midnight?" But like, whatever, we'll go. Right. So we go, and it's a rave in an abandoned school in like the east side of Detroit.
Oh yeah.
And so we go in, and it is just packed. And there is like they're not IDing anybody. They're not, And like I kept on trying to get selfies, but like every time I get a selfie, all I got in the background was like somebody with like a key up their nose of like some random stuff. I'm like, this party is nuts, man. So it is like there's literally like 400, 500 people in the school, like in the auditorium, and it could maybe fit 200. And the bathroom had like 1 stall and a urinal, so like the bathroom line's like forever long. So like we're all partying and stuff. And my buddy that's with me is like underage, so he's 20. So I'm like, if we get in trouble, like we're in a lot of trouble, right? So I go to like stand in line in the bathroom and like using the bathroom, and like every, like all the partying, drinking, everything I did was like kicking it at once. I was like, oh man, like I'm just like feeling it. And I walk out and there's like 20 SWAT officers like standing in the hallway, and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is not good, right? So I just go running and I find my buddies, right? And I'm like, we gotta go. Because all I picture is like us like running out and like them tackling him and me having to like get an Uber in like the worst neighborhood in Detroit, like from this party, right?
There's like 10 guys waiting to kick down the auditorium door. You come out of the bathroom, you're like the only guys left in there.
I know.
Just turn around and look at you.
So like I get them and like we go to the door and we're like leaving, and all the cops are just like letting everybody leave and get in their cars and go. And like I asked my one buddy who lives there, I'm like, what? And he's like, "This is just Detroit, man. Like they can't arrest everybody." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I was having an anxiety attack for like 20 minutes, man. Like, what are we gonna do?" Because I didn't have nothing on me, but I was just like, we're in a room with 300 other people, all have illegal stuff. Like, I don't think they're gonna care that I don't have nothing on me. I think everybody's going to jail, right? So yeah, and we got back to like that. We got back to the house, and they're like, "You want to stay and party more?" I'm like, "I think I'm good. I think we're done."
Yeah, that
Sorry to
would have been
ramble.
the end for me.
That's not rambling at all.
I know,
But
it
that's
was
funny. The response, yeah, they can't get us all. I've never ever heard that anywhere.
And it was just coping, and nobody had an iris in the whole place, dude. Like everybody's It's like everybody's talking to me like they're my best friend, and they're like so excited to meet me. So I've had a great time. And I felt really, it's funny because like normally I feel awkward because I'm from Pittsburgh and I just like dress comfortable and people like dress nice in places. But it was like Halloween and everybody's dressed in like the weirdest club gear ever. And some people like barely anything on. And I just had like a t-shirt and jeans on. So like I felt like the awkward one. Like I'm just like the random dude at the party. So, I mean, it was a fun time. But yeah, like this girl, she talked to me for a good solid like 30 minutes. And like her friend grabbed her. She's like, "He doesn't want to talk to you anymore." I was just like, thanks, because I'm like barely understanding what you're saying. Man. And like, so, and I wasn't even gonna get messed up, but it's EDM, so I was like, the only way I'm gonna enjoy this music is if I get really messed up. It's the only way I'm gonna be able to do this for a good 3 hours.
So crazy.
Yeah. When I toured with Trigger Happy, we played in Detroit too. We played a house party, and it was like they asked us if we wanted to stay, and we were like, we'll just get a Motel 6 and I'll sleep on the floor, because it was the kind of party that was just like Chicago's the same way. We played in Joliet, and we played in the west side of Chicago, this house party, and we were like unloading our stuff, and like the guy from one of the other bands came out with a gun to like guard our van while we were like unloading our stuff into his house. I was just like, oh, that's a great omen for like how the night's gonna go. Chicago's crazy, man. We played the bar there the one time. I walked out to like the little smoking area, and some dude just like pulled out a crack pipe and started smoking like it was a casual thing to do. And then and he was like a drummer from one of the other bands. So like, I didn't even know that.
I've been taking crazy pills.
Yeah. I know. And my girlfriend at the time was like, how is he like playing so fast? I was like, crack cocaine. Just seen him outside. That was a place called Chalk. It was cool because they had chalkboards everywhere, so you could like write stuff, you know. And I thought that was kind of, you know, ingenious. So
yeah.
Yeah, tour was always wild, man, and I loved house shows because it was just, you never knew what was going to happen, you know. But and we only had one get busted up by the cops ever, and they were super cool with us because we're like, we're not from here, like we don't know these people. Please let us go in our van. And they were nice. But I think the best place I ever played is Skatopia, though, out in Ohio, man. That place was wild. It was I don't know if you guys ever watched like documentaries or know anything about.
Yeah, no, I've heard of it.
Yeah. We like lucked out and like got that like headline Friday night there the one year, and that's actually when I first met Jesse Jesse Sendejas from Days and Days.
Yeah.
And it was wild, dude. It was just one of the best shows we've ever had, and the pit was just crazy. We opened up, like, I was always like big on opening songs, and we were gonna do like mostly original stuff, but I was like, I kind of want to do something like to open up the set and get everybody in, you know. And we had like 3 or 4 songs we would just like get people pumped with, and I was like, let's do School by Nirvana, and they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, let's just like, I just feel like it's gonna be a good song to open, and we did it, and like instantaneously like it just got a huge crowd, and then like you know, owned the rest of the set. So awesome. Yeah, it was a fun time. Yeah, and I don't even think that they're doing them anymore. So because the owner was like kind of came on bad health, and his son I think kind of finally like moved out of there. So it's like out in the middle of nowhere, and they were like farming all the time to survive. But it was wild, man. Yeah, I had some girl like steal a beer like out of my back pocket when I was like walking, just like randomly walking, just like grabbed a beer and ran off. And I was like, I'd give her the commitment. She got it. So, but that was really, really cool. And then like playing, like we played beside the bowl the one year, and just like seeing people like, you know, pop up and down out of the bowl like while you're playing. And this one guy came up to me afterwards. He's like, "Oh man, like that's so awesome! You like get up in front of it and like and do that." And I'm like, "Dude, you get on like a piece of wood with wheels and like go down this like 30-foot incline. Like me playing guitar and singing is nothing impressive compared to that, you know, as far as I'm concerned." But yeah, it was awesome, man.
I don't have the balance to do that stuff.
Yeah, it was. It was
stand up and play guitar.
Yeah, it was really cool. The last time we played there, the last year, it was kind of like we were kind of glad we were done with it. Was like the whole day was wild. Some guy, like they rallied to the car, they flipped it over, and he like ran up to me. He's like, "You're Stephen King from Trigger Happy, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You want to set my car on fire with a Molotov cocktail?" And I was like, "That sounds like the best thing ever." Like that's my own picture on Pajama Ramma Jams. Like one of the profile pictures of it is just me in front of the car, like with it on fire.
Are you sure you just don't want an autograph? I mean,
yeah, no, better. I'd much rather set somebody's car on fire. But like as we were like unloading all our stuff off the stage, and like the next band was getting ready to play, like they had this big bonfire going, and somebody put like 2 cases of like firework mortars at the bottom, and they all just started like going off in every direction. And like I'm like standing in front of my brother's drum set, like I'll just take one for the team. Like this is like $1,000 worth of drums right here. But and then we were like, we're probably not ever gonna play here ever again. It was a good way to end our skit. But we played there like 3 or 4 times, and it was always, every single time, you never knew what was gonna happen, and it was always a good time. And the people there, like we sold out of all of our merch. The people there were so nice, you know, like everybody you met was just like wanted to be friendly and stuff. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I'm kind of glad with 2021. Hopefully, concerts, things opening back up, we'll get a little bit more of that again.
Yeah.
For sure. There's definitely a couple coming around here that I'm wanting to catch.
What bands, man?
Oh, the Descendants and Wilhelm Scream are coming around Lehigh Valley later this summer. And there are a couple of bands that have been cornerstones of my life that I'm wanting to check out. So.
I'm actually driving out to Bethlehem to see Bright Eyes and Lucy Dacus together. Because Bright Eyes is one of my favorite artists, and they did a reunion and did an album. Like, he did one album, and it's probably going to be done. So, but I've seen him, I think, 3 or 4 times. But I've seen a lot of major label bands, especially like most of the punk bands that like were popular throughout the 90s. I've probably seen at some point in time, like Rancid and Less Than Jake and Streetlight Manifesto, Real Big Fish, Five Iron Frenzy. I saw Blink. I've seen Green Day. I've seen Weezer. I've seen, a lot of at least the bigger popular bands, And then whenever I was in this band called Weapons of Choice, we opened up for Agent Orange, TSOL, and then Misfits with Mikhail Graves. Let me tell you, that dude is a fucking asshole. I'll go on your podcast and say that. No problems.
No arguments here.
Yeah, there's 2 people famous that I met that I did not enjoy whatsoever. That was one of them. And the other one was I met Sebastian Bach one time because I was doing security for like a production company. And that dude was a fucking prima donna. And I was like, all right, man. Oh, yeah. He was like mad about what kind of water they had. What kind of bottled water they had, and I was like, "Oh,
whoa!"
Yeah.
In contrast, I did a Q&A panel with Dee Schneider at New Jersey Horror Con. Could not have been a cooler dude or easier to work with. His agent was pretty high strung, actually. His agent came over to me like 5 seconds before the interview, and he's like, "You got to ask about this, and you got to ask about that, and you better ask him about this, and you better bring up that." And I was like, "Well, I like worked out all the questions, and like 90% of what you just said is covered. Like, I'll work in the rest of it, like off the tip of my head. Don't worry about it." And D was just like so cool. He's just like, "Hey man, is it cool if I like stand up for most of it?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you do whatever you want to do." He's like, "I like walking around." And so like, especially by the time it got to like the the audience question part, he was just like coming around, working the stage, working the crowd. And then I did another panel the next day with let's see if I can remember. It was Rudy Sarzo, it was Lita Ford, and it was Doyle von Frankenstein, right? So it's a weird hodgepodge of people, but while I'm doing this panel, I didn't know it was Lita Ford's birthday. Dee Schneider sneaks up around behind the stage, gets on stage, and starts singing Lita Ford "Happy Birthday."
Oh, that's awesome!
I was like, "Wow, now that is fucking." I'm standing on stage, watching Dee Schneider sing Lita Ford "Happy Birthday." Like, this is nuts.
Oh yeah.
And this dude's just so fucking cool. Because he could be, he could be doing whatever the hell he wants. He could just be sitting there signing shit, making cash the whole time. But he's just like a cool guy.
Anytime I've ever met anybody that was like I felt was that certain level of fame, like I just try to give them the respect of like not being like every other douchebag, Like I met Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally, like because she actually I won tickets to see her like musical act. It's called Nancy and Beth. They just do like standards and jazz stuff, but it was just like I was interested to see Karen from Will and Grace sing some songs, and then it's like a little small theater venue. It's like 50 seats. So I was like, it'll be cool because that's actually like an intimate, thing. And it was on my birthday. So I went and we were outside in like the smoking area. It was just me and my girlfriend at the time. And then this girl named Mel, who was like, she was her assistant when she worked on Will and Grace but lived in Pittsburgh now. And like, they came outside just to like say hi to her. And, like Nick Offerman was there, and I was like, "Holy shit, you're Ron Swanson!" like at first, and then I was like, "All right," I was like, "I don't want to like bug him for a picture," and and he like asked us like, "You want like a picture or an autograph or whatever?" I was like, "I just want like a hug, man," and he fucking gave me a hug. It was like super cool, and it was like I just thought it was like a good, But I met Josh Blue a couple weeks ago, the comedian, the guy who has cerebral palsy, in the airport, and I got a picture with him real quick. Yeah, he was really nice. He talked to me for like 15 minutes. And cause I asked him, I was like, do you have to like be like at your plane or whatever, and like, I try to use my Stephen King name as like a, like, hey, you won't forget meeting me. And like, at least there's like a talking point for like 3 minutes with somebody that like, I don't feel awkward that they're a famous person or whatever. But like, yeah, I mean, there's some people like one of my buddies from my company sat right across the aisle from Joe Rogan on a flight. and just like talked to him, was like super polite with him. And I was like, I don't know if I could be cool. I could probably just not talk to him, because if I did start talking to him, I'd be like, dude, you're such an inspiration to me, man. You've got me through so many long flights and car rides, and you know, I don't know if I'd be cool or not. But, and then like some people through Facebook, like I'm an admin of the punk rock community, which is like a bigger Facebook group. I think that's how Joey and I met. We used to do like a band of the month and band of the year. It's just like a competition to try to promote underground music of people who were in the group. And one of them, for like a judge, we got Jesse Michaels from Operation Ivy. And I like messaged him back and forth a couple times. And then he actually called me once just to like talk. And he was like, you make any music or whatever? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, will you send me over a link sometime and I'll listen to it? I was like, oh, thanks. Like thinking he was just like being polite. And then like I sent him like our band's link. And then like 3 months later, he like wrote me this big long like paragraph, like almost review of the EP or whatever. And I was like, holy shit. Like Jesse Michaels, like listen,
right.
you know, actually like took the time to like listen to it. And he's like, I'm sorry, it took me a while to get back to you or whatever. And I'm like, no, like you probably are busy doing whatever the old Operation, you know, lead singer of Operation Abbey does. But yeah. And then Jesse Sandeas from Days and Days has been one of the coolest people that I've met, and he's done a couple of the Pajama Rama jams with me. And just I visited his house in Houston, and we did one like we distanced and they wore masks. But I was like the first person in his house for like 8 or 9 months that wasn't like his family. And I was like super like honored. Yeah. That he even like wanted me there. You know, he's like, no, like I like your video series. And, like I want to help you out when you're in town. And then we're going to do one in Chicago later this year, because his band and We the Heathens are playing that Moon Runners Festival. And I'm going to that. So I'm going to do a video with a couple of the bands there. We're all going to do one outside. So.
Radical.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Did you guys get a chance to check any of them out? Watch any of them?
Yeah, a couple of them. I can't remember which ones I watched specifically. Joey sent us a bunch of them. And
yeah,
man, you're doing some fun shit right there. I
How
love
did
your
Watch
two
Spin
Princess
Doctors.
covers. Pretty good. Yeah.
Two
we watched
princes.
this. Yeah.
Okay,
And,
when I did the castle, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
like that
castles
setting.
are just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a lot of them. I forget some of those now that aren't like, you know, bigger name places and stuff, because I'm used to like listening. I think so, like some of the coolest ones that I like, the moments that I had was like the Salem Witch Graveyard in Boston was really cool, because it was like, yeah, it was like really eerie that day. I had Season the Witch by Donovan, and like that was just like right in my middle of my range where I could sing it well, you know, because like sometimes
awesome.
like I know the song for a while and like I figure out the idea for the video, and other times like I figure out a place and then I got to figure out the song for it. Like I remember we were in San Antonio and the Alamo was there, and I just like couldn't think of a song to do on acoustic. And my buddy was there. He's like from Tennessee. He's really big in the country. And he's like, you should have been a cowboy by Toby Keith. And I was like, I kind of know that song. Like I like know it. And you know, so I learned it in like 20 minutes on the way down there, and then just did it. And it turned out pretty good. So I mean, like some of them were ones that like I put a lot of thought and practice into it. And then other ones were, you know, I kind of just went and had a spur of the moment thing.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got 2 that I'm going to try to do this week. I'm going to try to do Johnny Be Good in front of Doc Brown's house from Back to the Future.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm going to try to do the Joker in front of the Comedy Store, which I thought was
That's
kind of
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Very apropos.
Yeah. One really cool one was when I did Rockaway Beach. I did it on, you know, by the Ramones on Rockaway Beach. There was like, it was COVID, so there was like not a lot of people there. And like I set it up and I did it, and there was just like this older Japanese guy was sitting on a bench, and he was just like staring me down the whole time I was playing. So I felt like a little bit weird, you know, like about the take or whatever. And then like I looked at him, like gave him a thumbs up, and he was like, and I was like, all right, I got your approval, done. Yeah. But some of them have been like, I mean, I go to like very busy places and I'm not asking anybody, and I just set up and do it. So it's like, can be like a little bit of an anxiety thing, because you just like, you know, it's just a park or whatever. And I was a couple of weeks ago, I did an Andrew Jackson Jihad song. There's this place in Delaware, it's called Packet Alley. And it, like in the 1830s, it was like the most popular place in the United States. Like everybody would go there to hang out in this alley. Well, like one of the people who hung out there was Andrew Jackson. So I wanted to do the Andrew Jackson Jihad song. And I did Brave as a Noun and Loving the Time of the Human Papillomavirus. And like the one part of that, he sings about like, you know, my lungs will grow cancers and my back will grow achy. And like, so there's this like group of old people that are like on their walking group, like their Thursday night walking group or whatever. They like stop to like watch me sing and play the song. And it's like screaming about having cancer and getting old.
This is so much better than walking around the mall in the morning.
And they were super polite afterwards.
Man.
They were so nice. They're like, "You have such a beautiful voice," and all this stuff. And I was like, so I didn't know what to say to them, but I was like, "Well, I did it." So, but yeah,
Get him a piece of candy. You got any candy?
yeah.
Hold
I
on,
used
let
to
me
run
get
into
my
that kind of
orders.
stuff. Wearing like Lamb of God shirts in a Walmart in Alabama. You get little old ladies, oh, Lamb of God, that's really nice. And meanwhile, it's covered in skulls, you know. And, sure. Yeah. That's what the shirt's about.
Yes. Nothing else. Nothing more.
Nothing more.
It's so funny. I wear a cross, but I'm not religious. I'm just like superstitious, you know. So, but I'm covered in tattoos and shit, and people always fixate on the cross. Like, obviously, you're a God-fearing man. Or they'll say some shit like, well, you. I mean, I don't have to tell you about the healing power of Jesus, and it's like.
Chris, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice. Anytime that anybody says that, be like, "Okay, I know you're a vampire too."
You gotta say some shit in Latin.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, right.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's
Be like,
fucking
"Oh, this
gold
isn't about
right there.
Jesus. I'm just protecting myself against all these motherfucking vampires out here."
Yeah, no, you don't understand. I'm a disciple of Peter Vincent, fearless vampire killer.
Dude, right now in the hotel that I'm staying in, there's a bunch of soldiers from the country of Qatar, and they're like doing some kind of like air training thing here, right? So like I've been here for a couple of days, and like I talked to one or two of them. So I decided to start like saying random phrases to them. So like hopefully they go back to Qatar and they like think it's an American thing. So I like keep on saying "sure thing, chicken wing" or "peace out, Girl Scout." Because I just want them to go back to Qatar and then be like, "That's American thing, peace out, Girl Scout" all the time, and then it's like it turned into a thing. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but
Oh my God, that's
so
They're like
good.
doing
glorious.
test flights. You like calling control. Sure thing, chicken wing.
I know exactly. I just want to hear them say it in their accent. I just want to hear like "peace out, Girl Scout." You know?
Anything that sounds like it's something Brian Austin Green would have said on 90210, I'm for it. Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
ain't no thing but a chicken wing.
Mhm. Know what I mean? Jelly bean.
Yeah. I like when you travel all the time, like you end up just learning how to mess with strangers because it's one of the only, my favorite things, like people ask you for like more fries or something like that, or do you want mayonnaise on that? I'll be like, no thanks, I gotta drive. And then like always takes them a second to like think about like what you just said. Yeah. But then sometimes you do it and you like ruin somebody's day because you realize their brain's not like smart enough to get the sarcasm. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry. Like I'm just gonna stop now.
I won't do it again. I promise.
Yeah, I won't do it again.
Yeah, I love it.
Goes
Though. I'd be
back,
telling
goes
those guys
the
like,
next
"See you
guy."
later, masturbator." Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm totally gonna use that now. See you later, masturbator.
Yeah, dude.
Just because I want them to have like the weirdest, impressions of what Americans are really like.
Oh yeah, of course.
Everything
Oh, my
rhymes.
Everything rhymes. They just sing out their words all the time.
everyone in America is aspiring rap artist.
With the most G-rated rap lyrics ever.
Oh.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
Don't hate, appreciate.
Oh
Well,
my
you
God.
gotta
This
have
can
one
make
on
a
the
good
road, man.
movie. Like this can make a good spoof movie.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Sure.
You never know. Yeah, trust me, man. Last year, I felt like some of my life was a movie, and I didn't know how it was gonna end. Like when you're driving everywhere and everything's all shut down, and like anytime you turn on a TV, it's just like that Futurama, like doom. You shut it back on, like, all right, well, I had enough of that. I'm getting on the plane tomorrow. And it was like my company almost knew it. It was like they were following the news. Like they're like, "Don't go to New York City," and they're like, "Guess where you're going next week? See, you're going to New York City." It's like, don't go to this one city here. So yeah, but it's cool though because I've gotten to learn like places that I like and places that I don't like, and I've like learned the best and the worst, and I appreciate more things about Pittsburgh now and Pennsylvania and just Pennsylvania in general that I didn't appreciate before from like traveling a lot. So. Yeah, I mean it's not so like I was in Little Rock, Arkansas a couple weeks ago, man. It was the worst place I've ever been. That whole state could just like tomorrow they could be like, oh, the terrorists nuked Arkansas. It was just people in Arkansas. I'd be like, well,
49.
49, sweet.
Yeah,
Puerto Rico, come on in.
Thomas is applying for statehood tomorrow.
I was talking. My one uncle was like real conservative, and I was talking to him about it, and I was like I was just like wanting to make him happy with a joke. So I was like, makes sense that like the Clintons succeeded here because it's like full of horrible people, and they were just the worst. They just like rose to the top, and that's how they got power. It was a city where you had to be the worst person you could possibly be, and Bill Clinton just knocked it out of the park. Oh man, shit. Yeah, I got you. And just with everything last year, it was funny. Like, then I even had the response of people. It was like, I don't care who our president is. Like, my first memories of president was like asking my dad, "What does oral sex mean?" Because that's what the president just got. So like, sorry if I don't take the office too seriously anymore, guys.
Oh shit!
Oh man!
And that just like seems innocent now compared to like the news every day. So. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was fun traveling though, and it's cool to meet people from all over. And you realize that like people are kind of the same all over, as much as they are different. As much as like people try to make it seem different, there's people who are the same in a lot of places. So, and yeah, so and I've been to some really cool towns that even like when I went to Boise, Joey, I didn't think it was going to be cool. I was kind of like, ugh, Boise, Idaho, and I went there. I was like, this place is beautiful, and like there's no traffic. It's a nice city.
I always had a great time in Idaho. Like Idaho, places you wouldn't expect: Idaho, Iowa, Oklahoma, Washington State. Like these are some of the most fun places I ever played on tour.
Oh, Louisville, Kentucky is one of my favorite cities ever, and I never expected that. Like, it's just so cool downtown, and like every bar we ever played there was awesome. The folk punk scene was like really cool there. Whenever I was like playing acoustic and doing stuff, and yeah, man, and it's just cool. I try to like with the videos, I try to make it a point to go out and see things that I always wanted to see. Or we went on vacation, me and my girlfriend, for my birthday to Vegas, and we drove to Area 51, and I did Aliens Exist by Blink-182, like at the bar where everybody's supposed to do the Naruto run from. And yeah, that was fun. And then I did the Black Mailbox, which is like a famous location. Supposedly you can send messages to the aliens. So I did We'll Make Great Pets by Porno for Pyros, because like that was my message to the aliens. Like, please go easy on us when you come.
I sit, I go to the bathroom by myself. I'm fucking awesome. We got this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I will fix your alien spaceship. I am an engineer. Like, please don't kill me. I will work in your colonies. But yeah, no, and just being there, like driving from Vegas to Rachel, it's so desolate and empty. It was just, it was like a really like esoteric experience, that whole drive. And I had a brand new Challenger. My job, like I get to keep all my rental car points and the Sky Miles and the hotel points and all that. So like going to Vegas was pretty much just all that, for my birthday. So it was awesome. So we got like a brand new Challenger, and I'm driving on this like desert highway, 90 miles an hour, like no other cars around. And I was like, yeah, this is sweet. And my sweet girlfriend, it was so windy there because it's Nevada, and she's like standing there like holding my phone, like getting blown by the wind while I'm like playing a guitar in the desert. And she's like, I thought it was going to be hot, but it's quite cold out here. But
yeah, the desert's misleading. It could be blazing hot one day, and then the next day you might need a coat. You don't know.
Yeah. Well, it was the morning. I figured like I didn't want to go in the middle of the day when it was like the sun was beating down. So like I'd rather be a little bit too cold than too hot. But yeah, if you guys ever get a chance to go to Vegas, definitely make that drive. It's like 2.5 hours, but there's one hilltop you come over and you can see for like a good 230 miles, and it's just gorgeous. Yeah. So I don't get that in Pittsburgh, man. There's a hill everywhere, so you don't see. That's all you can see.
A hill and a bridge. You got a hill and a bridge just about every street.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, but it's cool. There's things I appreciate about home now, like how not pretentious Pittsburgh is. Pittsburgh's not a very pretentious place at all. And like when you go to New York City or Chicago or Houston or LA and you try to go out places, it ends up being there's just a lot of people and it's taking a leak there, Joey.
Philadelphia is another one like
yeah. Sorry, I had to mess with him a little bit.
Of course.
Philly's weird because like the downtown is like super pretty, like down on Broad Street there, but then like you go like out on the highways or anywhere outside of it, it's just like a horrible shithole. And I'm like, this is very misleading.
Yeah.
We breed the best.
Yeah. But I mean, it's cool. We kind of Pittsburgh and Philly kind of have a rivalry as far as sports goes, and like to rag on the cities every once in a while. But I have had a lot of good times out there. I did a video on top of that Sierra Green parking garage. They have like a park like on top of a skyscraper. Oh, wow. Yeah, and I did a Mischief Brew song because they're from Philly. Awesome. And then I actually did the park. I did the theme song for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air like in the park where they filmed some of the intro for it. It's cool. It's like you can see Philly like off in the background. I'm like west of Philadelphia. Which like that park was so run down. I was like, I don't blame Will's parents for Will's mom for shipping him out to Beverly Hills. It's not a nice neighborhood at all. Like, I don't feel safe here.
Why were you playing basketball here to begin with?
Yeah, exactly. I would never let my children play in that park. But no, it was funny because there was a bunch of like guys all like blasting music and stuff. Like I walked up the hill and started playing the song like pretty loudly to try to like be loud enough for my camera. And then like I heard one of the guys was like, "Shut the fuck up, man! He's trying to play French Prince up there." And I was like, "Thanks, man." I was like, "Thank you, dude." It was a big yeah. So it's been some cool stories as far as that's gone. With just showing up different places and you never know who you're gonna see. But I've tried to like never make any money off of it or like profit off of it or anything. I mean, one, it's other people's music, and two, I just always wanted it to be like a hobby and fun because I feel like once it's not fun, then I'm probably not going to want to do it anymore. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Once you do something you love and you grow to not love it, then it just becomes work.
Yep.
Yeah. Would you agree with that too, Chris? You were talking about touring and stuff. Was that kind of how it felt with the band? Because whenever I was in a band, that's kind of what I got. The point that I got to was once it felt like too much work, I just didn't really want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would. It wasn't about that. I mean, every day is work, So I was never. I don't really know what my end game was. My end game was just the work, really. I was so happy to be there, even if it was kind of like boarding the Titanic. Yeah, I don't know. Every day was a fucking experience and adventure. To me, it was like being on the last frontier,
I can see that. Yeah.
It felt like, okay, there's no more frontier left in America, but like, this is it. If there is any, this is it. Being on tour, finding, all that Almost Famous shit, like finding the one guy in the back of the room that's not getting off and making him get off.
Yeah.
That shit's always worth it. And it was always a dude and never a smoking hot chick. But it was I feel like I'm a magnet. Like everywhere I went, I found like the one squadron of military guys that were off duty, and they're like, "Yo, man, I was watching you the whole time. You rock that shit. Our whole platoon thinks so. You're doing shots with us now. Oh no, that's cool. I gotta go shots at it." Like, okay,
I said you're doing shots.
Yeah, I think the thing with like where I was the lead singer. And like I was doing all the promoting, and then a lot of the festivals around my area, like I was booking them, and then like dealing with the other bands and stuff. Where like we were for a long time, we would do bar cover shows around the Pittsburgh area to like pay for tour and things that we want to do, recording, new equipment, whatever. So like there was so much of that, and like being like yelled wagon wheel or Freebird at like 2 a.m. like just for so long, like just really like it started to wear on me. And then like even with tour, like. It was great, but it just felt like every single time we got back, like we were almost so sick of each other. Like you wanted to like not, play with each other for a while. Like not that I didn't like love those guys when I was in the band and had a great time doing it, but like it was almost like if you ever like, hang out with, just your girlfriend like when when you're younger and you have a very codependent relationship and you're just with your girlfriend all the time, and you go and like you finally go and hang out with other friends and you're like, oh man, like it's just nice to get away from this, and I feel like that's where we got, to the point. And it was always like the van breaking down, or like you show up at a place and they're like, hey, you can crash here. And then like the house is basically condemned and there's roaches everywhere. And then it's like, you got to go find a motel in the middle of the night, or just, there's always like there was just always stuff. I mean, not that that wasn't fun and cool and part of the adventure, but I do feel like that after a while, like it just wore me down to the point where like I didn't care for it as much. And so I didn't want to do that and not like fully love it, like I wanted to be in love with doing it. And I felt, and once I started doing the videos, like I started about 2.5 years ago, and I was in a little bit like tougher time in my life. And at first it was just really a way for me to like, I'm going to do something and not just sit in my hotel room whenever I'm out and about, traveling for work. Like I'm just going to go and do something. Yeah. And then, I started meeting people, and even like whenever I did the couple in Chicago, I did the Shameless house, like the theme song from Shameless in front of the house. And then I did the Veruca Salt Seether in front of like the place where they recorded the video for it at. Mm-hmm. And then I did Smashing Pumpkins Cherub Rock, which is like a video, like a view of Chicago behind me. And I met this girl, Jen, just like through the punk rock community. And I like told her I was going to be in Chicago, and she's like, do you want to come like crash with me for the weekend? And I was like, you don't know me. Like my name is Stephen King on Facebook. Like, you know what I mean? And she was just like, you want to come? And like, I went and stay with her. She's like one of the nicest people I ever met in my life. And like, I've gone up there quite a few other times now. And like, it just started getting me out to do stuff, and it was like some creative project. And then at first I was just like sharing them with friends, like you should make a page. And then now, like I've had enough people push me, like I'm getting ready to put them all on YouTube the beginning of July, because I had some of them on there and just most of them on Facebook, and people were like, hey, I want to share YouTube links of it, not just watch them on Facebook. I'm like, I didn't really think anybody cared that much about it. Like, sorry, like I'll put them on YouTube, but and I don't know, it's a cool way for me to like show old friends and family members and whoever like the places that I'm at, and to see something different, like a lot of people would never be in the position that I'm in to get to see historic landmarks and things, and like just to connect yourself. Like when I was just in Philly, I did Electric Feel in front of the church, where there's a church built on the spot where Benjamin Franklin flew his kite. And like I just thought, like just sitting there was like, man, just to think that like 400 years ago, yeah, like that he was standing right there and flying his kite and discovered electricity, and now like I'm here doing,
I was talking my language.
I did Dayman in front of the fountain from in Philadelphia, where Charlie pees and Frank steals change in the one episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But I wrote lyrics, like I wrote 3 verses to Dayman and then just, like, sung the chorus. So that was I've done that twice now. I did that for that, and then the Pennsylvania Paper Building in Scranton. Creed Bratton, like from The Office, he wrote a song to The Office theme song. Like he wrote words to it, and then I wrote a third verse. It was only like 2 verses. I wrote a third verse, and I did that like in front of the Pennsylvania Paper Building. So there was 2 that I've actually like, done some creative input into it, because I was like, I wanted this just to be cool, and that was really cool too, because The Office is like a super big part of my life. Like I watched every episode of it when it came out on television, and was a big fan. And you guys both know too from Pennsylvania, it captures that like Pennsylvania awkwardness that a lot of people have there. You know what I mean? Which is like everybody's like a little bit off, right? Yeah. Like and not Yep. So and and it's hilarious. Yeah, and it's so true. I grew up with a kid who was exactly like Dwight Schrute. His name was Craig. And he was like intense and always was like really weird. He would like have like a bug. I'd be like, "What are you doing, Craig?" I'd be like, "I got this ant. I found him outside, so I put him in a bag, and now I'm studying him or something." Like on the. I'm like, "Okay, man." But and I identified that show a lot. So like doing that video, like I really wanted to do it well to like honor the show, and I knew with like office groups on Facebook and stuff, like I could share it and it could get a lot of views. So like I wanted to do a good job at it, So
I dig that though. I always wanted to. I did like a fake '80s hair band at the beginning of quarantine called Night Lover, and one of the things that
that's so great, dude.
One of the things that we only recorded like 5 or 6 songs, but they're all on YouTube. But one of the things I really wanted to do, as my one roommate was moving out, which is why we kind of stopped doing it. But I really wanted to finish the song from Boogie Nights, that awful song that Dirk Diggler records in the studio. Not You Got the Touch, which is a real song by Stan Bush, but that like "Feel My Heat" song, like, cause we used to do that to each other on tour, like "Feel my heat." Like, just crank each other up with that shit all day, all night. You feel my heat. It's like so bad. And I was like, all we need to do is write one more verse, and this baby's a rap. Like, it would be gold, but we never got around to it. So.
Some people have like complained because I'll do like a certain song at a place and they're like, you should have done this. Like I did the Clerk's gas station in Jersey, but I did Got You Wrong by Alice in Chains because it was on the first soundtrack. And I was like, I just like that song. But like somebody's like, you should have done Berserker. And I'm like, I really just don't think that would have been like a great acoustic video of me just like singing like
for you is like that truck.
You just do it over and over again.
Yeah, there wouldn't have been much to it. It would have been like that one verse.
That's what, and I just didn't really know what, and I wanted to do something interesting. But even like the gas station owner of that was like super cool about it. I was like, this like what places in a movie, and I wanted to go in and buy a pack of cigarettes just because it was like that's the first scene of somebody, you know what I mean? Going and buying a pack of and like
only if you had a Chuli's gum
card.
A
pack of Chuli's gum.
Yeah, Chuli's gum or nails. There was nails cigarettes is what they were. Yeah. And but, so I went and just asked him, and I was like, can I do the video? And he's like, yeah, that's fine.
They probably get quite a bit of that. Hey, Cambria.
Yeah. I got another co-host here. Daddy was in his studio, and someone was upset that I was not in the bedroom.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Mad balls, gross for one, gross for all. We play with a mad ball, they're gross, funny, yucky, sick. There's 8, so you can take your pick. We throw, catch, it's fun. There's so much gross in every one. Freaky fun is what they're for. There's so much ugly, so much more. Gross for one, gross for all. We play with a mad ball. We play with a mad ball. We play with a mad ball. Mad ball.
Freaky fun for everyone, sold separately from Amtoy.
Mad ball.
New game, Pizza Party. That's the name. You make a pizza, as you can see, with onions, mushrooms, or pepperoni. You could lose if you have to switch, so you better be sharp. You better be slick. Party, pizza party. Come on, party, pizza party.
Well, I guess it is getting a little bit late for me, so I guess I should probably share some mashups with you guys before I depart. Absolutely. Sorry to run a little bit early, just exhausted.
No, you're good.
Got to get on to it tomorrow. Yeah. So I guess, I think someone needs to make me the host temporarily so I can share some images with you guys.
You're going to love this, Steve-O.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I feel like the king of cartoons.
You're good.
Okay. So you talked a little bit briefly about Kevin Smith, so I figured I should show this one, which is one of my favorites. One of the first ones I did to go kind of blow up a little bit. I've always wanted Kevin Smith to direct the Star Wars movie. And I just feel like, why can't this have, this would be phenomenal. This would be better than any Star Wars movie since the 80s. This would be incredible.
That is great.
Take my money.
Take
my money now.
Take it all.
So in honor, of course, I do have some stuff for your namesake. When Stephen King's on the podcast, you just gotta let him know that you are one of
the Dude, that is so great. I guess you gotta send that to me so I can share it with my Stephen King group.
For sure, definitely will.
That is so good.
So I'll get the Stephen King stuff out of the way here. This one I did. This is one of the dumbest mashups I've probably ever made, but I do love it. If you're ever a fan of the old Adam Sandler, Damon Wayans comedy.
Yeah, I remember Bulletproof.
Two of my favorite movies there.
Something about that movie is so underrated. Just little lines like, this is 70s porn. You know how I can tell? This guy's dick is.
That's great.
So two more. You mentioned Will and Grace. So one I did just this week. It just hit me. I was like, oh man, that's too perfect. I would absolutely like donate money to make that show a reality. And you know, in honor, since we're all kind of punk rock dudes, this is kind of a punk rock film. I figured I'd take it back to our childhood roots and what if Sesame Street did something about this I just love. I don't know. I love street trash. I love
street trash. Street. You cannot go wrong with
like,
street.
it's kind of like my personality in an image.
Yeah, I you know what? I kind of have to say the same on that one. It
like
just fits.
How you feeling? Street trash.
Street trash.
That's great. I have one request for the Darth Maul movie. Right at the end, can you have him chop off the Easter Bunny's head and be like, "This is gross."
Yes. Oh my god, I would love it. Oh, that would be incredible. I would take my fucking money. That would rule. Yeah. But there will always be more Star Wars in the pipeline and Kevin Smith stuff and, you know, just general pop culture punk foolishness. So definitely check me out on Instagram and Facebook and all those places. And here on the Geek Den, because I hope to be back as often as they'll have me. So
you'll be back a lot more.
For sure.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I am going. What's that?
So thanks again, Chris. Yeah, I enjoyed talking with
thank you so much, man. Yeah, it was great to meet you. I would friend you on Facebook, but I don't know if I'm gonna get the right Stephen King. So definitely try and add me. Pop culture.
All right.
I think there's only one of those.
Yeah.
And you'll see the guys with mutual friends anyways. But
yeah, I got you.
Radical. Well, awesome, dudes. I think when you guys plug it, I should make. Now I'm gonna have to make someone else post, right? Yeah. Go ahead and
throw it back to
participants. Right here we go. Sorry about that. Make it buddy. Okay. Yep. All right. Cool.
I like how soon Rats guys
Yeah, no. Yeah, he gives us a little notification.
Oh, okay. Oh, right on.
I get it.
All right, dudes. Well, always a pleasure. I hope to see you all.
Thank you again,
man. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
All right. Have a good night, dude.
Yeah, you
Love
too,
you,
man.
brother. Thanks, man.
Later, guys.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. He's a really good friend of ours. So he comes on. We wanted to have him on once, but we just had a little thing where I mixed the dates up, and I was like, let's have him on for 2 weeks. Screw it.
Yeah, no, he definitely added a lot. I like those the mashups that he did. Those were pretty hilarious. Yeah, it's definitely right up my right up my alley with yeah.
He shares at least one a day. So yeah, for sure, find him on Facebook.
Okay, yeah, I definitely will. I might be stealing some of them. So a lot of people, I post a lot of memes. So like people think I'm a meme page because like my name's Stephen King, and they don't think I'm real. and then randomly I post a video of me playing in front of some famous place. People are like, "Holy crap, you're a real guy!" I'm like,
"You are real."
Yeah, you are real.
I gotta say though, Pet Sematary was probably my favorite work.
Yeah, the original one. I noticed the shirt. Yeah, you know what's funny was that the new one that came out. I was in St. Louis, and I'm a huge hockey fan, just in general. But it was whenever the St. Louis Blues were in the playoffs, and then whenever they went to Stanley Cup and won. I think it was 2018. And I was doing stand up for a while in St. Louis.
2019, I believe.
2019. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
No, you're.
Yeah, I was doing stand up in St. Louis, and I met this girl, and like her whole set was about like her son had this like rare kidney disease, and he had to be on like dialysis like 9 hours a day, like 6 days a week. So like her whole bit was about like how like people would give her free stuff all the time, and like how it was weird. She couldn't like live like a normal life. And it was like, I kind of like felt sorry for her, but also was like, I applauded her. She was trying to like laugh about it and to feel better, you know, and like and make jokes and stuff. And so like we got to talking, and she like, she kind of like asked me out, like, hey, you want to go out for a drink or something sometime? And it wasn't like exactly into her, but I also like kind of felt bad for a situation. She probably hasn't been on a date in a long time. So I was like, let's just go out, you know? So we went to go see the new Pet Sematary movie. And I was like, okay, it's a scary movie. Like maybe we won't like talk much or whatever. Well, like it was such a piece of shit movie that we just like made fun of it the whole time. And I had a great time, an amazing time with her.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
I liked the remake.
You did? I didn't like it. I mean, yeah, it was funny
because the way they messed with it.
We were at this theater we were like allowed to drink in, and she was like getting drunk, and she started like personally blaming me for like the shitty acting in the movie. She's like, "How dare you approve this?" And yeah, so it was funny because like she was.
Why would you cast Jason Clarke, you son of a bitch?
Yeah,
not that Stephen King lady.
Yeah. She was, but it was funny because like. I wasn't really sure if I was gonna like go out with her again or not. And then she's like, "What are you doing Thursday?" And I was like, "It's like nothing." And she's like, "Well, I got like tickets to like one of the playoff games, you know, for St. Louis Blues." And I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" Like, I'm totally down to go.
A live hockey game, definitely.
Yeah, and it was like it was the championship when they were playing the Wild before they went to you know what I mean?
Conference title.
The conference title. Yeah. Yeah, so but it was crazy because we sat like fourth row, and then like, you know, like the players came out with like her son, and like, you know, we're signing stuff for him and everything. So I got to like meet a couple of the Blues and everything.
That's
but
cool.
You know, yeah, it was super cool. I've seen a couple of different hockey teams now. I got to see Vegas play in their stadium too.
Nice.
And then I saw the Dallas Stars when I was in Dallas. But I've gotten a jersey from pretty much every city I've been to, and I think I have like 13 or 14 of them now. So.
Nice.
Yeah,
I haven't been to a live hockey game since I was about 8 years old, and that was some minor league team.
Yeah, I've seen the Penguins a lot.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah,
I don't travel as much as you. I've only seen the Oilers play. I've seen them play a lot live. It's a treat.
Yeah. McDavid needs to get that cup, man. Yeah. He needs it to be in the consideration, you know.
So I'm pretty old. And I've been to a lot of hockey games. And the very first time I went to an Oilers game where they won was in 2018.
Oh, wow.
I'd never seen a game in Edmonton.
Did you ever see Gretzky, like when Gretzky played for Edmonton?
No, I was a little bit too young for that. But I did go to a game where he was on Los Angeles. They came to Edmonton and kicked the shit out of Edmonton.
Well, at least you got to see Gretzky win. So,
yeah. But I think he had a goal and an assist. So it's like, all right, I'm cool.
Yeah. You got to see Wayne Gretzky score, so you're good.
Yeah.
I'm a Bruins fan myself, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Boston's my favorite city. I don't know why. I just love it, and I don't know. The Red Sox and the Bruins are my two favorite sports teams.
Yeah, I've had some good times up in Boston, man. They definitely have the weird thing about like the nightlife there is like it's not in like one spot. Like there's a lot of cities that have like one strip where like all the bars are or whatever, but like the cool places in Boston, like one's over here, one's over there, you know what I mean? So, but I went to
not too many people in one spot at one time.
Yeah, exactly.
They got a little more range to spread out.
Yeah, I did go to Cheers whenever it was still open there. Yeah, and that was really cool. Like the one that they actually had the front, and I didn't have my guitar with me at that point in time. I used the smaller, it's called a guitarlele, so that it's like easier to travel with now. So
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it just ends up being an easier instrument to transport, in the plane and stuff all the time with me. But at first I wasn't really bringing a full size guitar with me, so that was cool. When I went to Vegas, I did those videos. I had my actual full size guitar for all of them. So.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So, what are some of your guys' favorite punk bands? So what is Punk Rock Geek Den?
Let's see. Green Day is where I got my start in the music. So, I saw the Basket Case video when I was 6 years old, and I did a deep dive about 6 years later when I was about 12 or 13, and just started getting into everything. So probably Green Day for sure. But then you got like Rancid, Ramones, The Clash, all the old shit.
Yeah.
lot of newer bands too. Suburban Downgrade, I got to give a shout out here. They're buddies of mine, but they pretty much combined every style of punk you can think of into one and just unleashed. And it's,
okay.
I think it's killer shit. I would definitely check them out.
Yeah.
Their singer's my best friend for 20 plus years, but I don't tell people, like when I tell people to listen to them, I'm telling them as if I've never met the guy before.
Yeah.
You know,
I understand.
Check this band out. It's good shit. You know,
there's a difference between being a friend and a fan of somebody. I mean, that's how I feel about, Jesse from Days and Days Music. I mean, he's also in Escape from the Zoo and Chad Hates George, which, have like decent followings themselves.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just a fan of his writing and what he, does. And I'm a friend of it, because I've met people, I've met some, like I said, talking about Sebastian Bach or like other bands we played with, not everybody's cool and down to earth and friendly and chummy and, maybe they're just having a bad night or whatever. It was funny. I can't really tell you who, but one of my friends who's in a punk band, I don't want to say because he was talking trash on, but he said two of the famous bands that he met that were just total assholes. One was MC Chris, which like he was a huge Adult Swim fan, and I'm a huge Adult Swim fan too, so it kind of broke my heart a little bit because he said like he like went up to talk to him and dude just kind of disregarded him, and he said that they opened for Bowling for Soup, and Bowling for Soup was just like really upset they didn't sell, like that one band didn't sell enough tickets or something, and it was like some prima donna kind of stuff. But most of the bands I ever played with were really cool. Most of the guys like I've met when I was working security for the one production company in Pittsburgh. I got to like be around like Cage the Elephant and the Strokes and the Distillers and some other bands that played in like bigger venues, and they always seemed like they were cool people. And then there's some bands I've interacted with on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. And like we asked the Interrupters if they would make a post about our punk rock band of the month thing we had going on, and they did. And and the lead singer was really nice about that. Yeah. So I mean, it's cool when you hear more of those kind of stories. You know what I mean? Then
I met Jerry Only and Robo back in the mid 2000s, like around 2005, 2006. They played in State College, and then they played in Allentown about 6 months later, and I met them both times, and they're pretty nice guys overall, like in my experience. I know, and I've met people that haven't had the same experience, and I was like, well, I'm going to take my experience and just go with it because it was fun. I had a great time. They signed my shirt, they signed water bottles, they signed ticket stubs, whatever I threw at them. They were like, yeah, here you go, man.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And they weren't dicks about it at all. Like the one band that I have seen that was kind of dickish would probably be the Voodoo Glow Skull.
I'm not really familiar with their music.
They're like a ska punk band from Southern California, Riverside area.
Okay.
And
that's right where I'm at right now. It's Riverside. Yeah.
Well, I love their music, but when I saw them live, I went to meet them. Like I got a picture with their guitar player, and he was okay, but like their saxophone player just kind of blew me off. So I didn't, and the rest of the band just kind of like rushed by to get backstage, and I was just like, "The hell, man! This venue, like you're supposed to hang out with the people."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you leave the stage, you're in the merch area. It's like, come on.
Yeah, there's a certain part of that you know what I mean. You kind of expect. And there's some bands that I've seen and I've not been all that impressed. I mean, like I thought they were okay, but then I met them as people and they were phenomenal people, and it made me like appreciate them, seeing them live more, because it was like, oh, like he's a great guy, and I enjoy the energy that I understand now of what he's putting, putting into his music. So there's some bands definitely that are like bands that are great live too that I wouldn't necessarily listen to on record. Like one of my favorite live bands is Go Go Bordello. Like I'll see them anytime I get a chance to, but like I wouldn't just sit there and listen
live.
Oh yeah, have you seen them before, Craig?
Yeah, I've seen them a couple times live. They are awesome live.
Yeah, I saw them New Year's Eve in Denver, and it was just a phenomenal show. It was like 2017, and it was bumping, man. We had such a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then and that guy's like a real like rock star lead singer. Like you don't really think about it when you hear their music, but like just his stage presence and everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's got an aura. He's just like he is true to his word and his culture. He can sell it. He really can.
Yeah,
like
so
he's
Craig,
a showman.
I got a question for you because you seem like you're a B horror, kind of guy with the Return of the Living Dead, and you're talking about zombie movies and stuff. What is your opinion on them rebooting the Toxic Avenger?
I don't know. I think it could be okay. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I give everything a chance. I even gave Army of the Dead a chance. So like, who knows? Funny thing is like this weekend, Lloyd Kaufman and Toxie were at like this local drive-in. I wanted to go so bad. It would have been insane just to meet those two. But
yeah, that would have been cool.
I don't know. I'll give it a chance. Like I said, I give everything a chance, and then if I trash it, I trash it. But at least I gave it an honest chance.
I respect that. Yeah, I was talking to one of my buddies who is like a low level director and has done like editing work and stuff. And we were just kind of talking about how like there's certain of those B horror classics that like what made Toxic Avenger great wasn't really like the storyline necessarily. Like it made it great was everything about the movie, right? The fact that it didn't really, there wasn't a big budget, but they still made a movie that was entertaining.
Lloyd Kaufman is just like, he's genius. Every movie he makes is just like one good time. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be anything. It's just he puts his name on something and it becomes magical. Like the fucking guy remade Romeo and Juliet, in like the Troma way. It's such an amazing company, such amazing work, and a director. And I don't know. They could pay good homage to it. I rarely see it, but it could be a good remake. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. I was, it's funny you were talking about that Army of the Dead because like since I fly so much, I download a lot of things on Netflix and Hulu and HBO and all that just to watch on the plane. And like I was really excited about Army of the Dead, and then somebody told me I should watch that Sweet Tooth show, and like I read both descriptions, and I was like, Army of the Dead sounds like it'd be kind of cool. The Sweet Tooth show just sounds kind of weird, but like I'll give it a shot. And like Army of the Dead, didn't really enjoy it that much. Like you said, I just thought like the storyline was really rushed. There wasn't really much of like the parts where they could have filled with action and been cool. They didn't. And then like they tried to like make a bunch at the end. And then that Sweet Tooth show was phenomenal. I enjoyed every episode I watched of it. It's a great sci-fi, you know what I mean? Post-apocalyptic. Oh yeah, it was so good. And the child actor, the kid who plays the main character, I mean, I don't want to, get rid of the premise too much for any of the people that are watching, if they haven't watched it, or for you guys. But the basic idea is there's this virus that comes along that kills like, most human beings. They call it the sick. Well, right around the same time that happens, babies start being born, and they're like hybrid, like half creature, half human, right?
Yeah.
So people think it's their fault, like the hybrid's fault, right? That this is happening. So this guy, Will Arnett, actually takes this baby who's like half deer, half boy up into Yellowstone and like raises him away from society so he can like have a life or whatever. So I don't know if it's anything else, but it's really cool. You know what I mean? Going on an adventure and stuff. And it was not at all what I was expecting. And when at first I was like half deer, half boy, like this sounds really not. It sounds like one of those bad anime shows that's like way down the list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're like looking through all the anime and you're like, dear boy, like I'm probably not going to ever watch that. But no, but no, it's phenomenal. Me and my girlfriend watched it, and like every episode was good. And what have you guys thought about the Marvel TV series on Disney Plus?
Love them.
Yeah, I thought WandaVision was great. As a
WandaVision was perfect.
Yeah,
a lot more now.
Yeah.
I would have to say I'm a lot more interested in him now than I ever was. I'm never interested in anything Marvel. Yeah,
the first episode of Loki was enough to like. It's okay, cool.
See, I enjoyed the Defenders shows on Netflix. I enjoyed Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, and I thought they did a good job with that. And they could have done more, but there's like enough of it that it was enjoyable. Because I felt like Daredevil, like obviously the Ben Affleck movie wasn't phenomenal, and then even like in the cartoons, they never really did like a good Daredevil cartoon either. And then they finally did him justice. And I thought WandaVision was great because whenever I first saw the preview for it, I was like, this doesn't really look all that interesting. And then by the end of the first episode, I was like, I really want to know what's going on, you know? So,
Yeah, exactly.
and the way that they did some slow reveals of little details of things, and you know what I mean? You started kind of, you know, definitely kept you interested in everything to the end. And was a good character conflict with her because she's like not exactly good in it, you know.
Yeah.
She's kind of controlling everything. So, and I felt for Vision because, you know, I've been with a woman before who was trying to control reality and make her own little universe. So I was like, I know how you feel, Vision. Except for it wasn't a nice sitcom. It was just toxic.
I think the
horrible.
one series that doesn't get a lot of press is the Punisher series that Netflix did. It was so well done.
Yeah,
and then
you know what?
When they brought him in the first place too, like with Daredevil, that was a masterpiece. It's just too bad they can't get it figured out and start making it again.
Yeah, well, and what was cool about that was like that was the guy who played Shane in Walking Dead, and like I thought that was really like a throwaway character in Walking Dead, and he wasn't like he was kind of I couldn't really take him seriously, and then in that show. He like actually showed acting chops, which like it's hard to do. You know what I mean? I'm really hoping that. I mean, Robert Pattinson has done that in a couple of his indie films. He's done that, but I'm really hoping that he does that as Batman. You know, it's kind of like okay.
Did you see
like
the trailer?
Yeah, I mean, it looks great. I mean, it really does.
Holy shit! I am excited.
Yeah, but the trailers always look great. I am not convinced yet.
However,
I am not convinced yet. I am not convinced yet. Simple as that.
I did not have this reaction about Ben Affleck as Batman. I did not have
it's always a great preview. Always a great preview.
Yeah, I think people gave Affleck a hard time as Batman, especially seeing.
I did, and I shouldn't.
I still haven't seen the movies.
Yep, nope.
Because I'm just not a fan of them.
No,
yeah,
I can't support.
I don't want to get into that world, like Batman and Superman. I don't know, like. I just enjoy the singular stories, you know, like.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, the Justice League, the Snyder cut definitely was a way better than Batman vs Superman or the original cut of the Justice League. I know it's like 4.5 hours, but it was worth it to me to watch it. And when I watched it, I was like, that was a great superhero movie. Yeah. And it was one of the first ones with DC that had like a lot of layers to it, you know, and they made Cyborg storyline more. They fleshed out the Flash more, and like they just did. It was just way better in every aspect you could possibly imagine from the original one. So I mean, I was happy that that happened, but I understand what you're saying. And Batman, there's been so many good Batman movies that like if it's not a great Batman movie, okay, you know, like we have 5 really good Batman movies in my opinion, and one was okay, you know. So I mean, I think the first 2 were phenomenal. I think Batman Forever was okay. I mean, obviously, Batman Robin was panned by the critics. I mean, if you enjoyed campy or 60s Batman, then it's for you. And it's a fun shit watch, you know, every once in a while. Yeah. Like it's one of those movies. Like it's so bad it's good to watch now because you can watch it and be like, I can't believe they made this movie, you know.
Yeah.
So I have the way I look at it though is like Michael Keaton was for me like he was the first Batman I ever saw growing up. So like he is Batman to me. You know what I mean? Great Bruce Wayne, great Batman. And then Val Kilmer was a good Batman, but a horrible Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And then George Clooney was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
He's a great Bruce
horrible
Wayne,
Batman,
but
great
Batman.
Bruce Wayne. Yeah. Exactly.
1000%.
Yeah, I just felt like they were trying to go in a different direction than what everybody wanted, and everybody loved the Tim Burton Batmans because they were a little bit dark, and it was a different take on. It wasn't like hold the bat bomb, Robin, and stuff. One series that I have been enjoying a lot was I started watching. Well, there are 2 series that kind of coincide. Is that Doom Patrol and Titans on HBO Max, and Robin,
Titans
the kid who plays Robin is really good. Like
It's sick.
Yeah, and Doom Patrol is good too. With Brendan Fraser, he's the main character. He was a NASCAR driver, and he got decapitated in an accident, and they put his brain in a robot. So like he's a robot now. And
Cliff Steele,
Cliff Steele, yeah. And then the other characters are Doom Patrol. Yeah, there you go, busting it out.
This is the Gerard Way. This is the Gerard Way run.
The first episode of fucking Titans, James, will get you in because he has a line at the end of it that just blew me away. I couldn't believe they said it on any show, much less a
I know what
DC
line
show.
you're talking about. I'm not going to say anything.
Check it out. I'll have to check it out. You said that's on HBO Max?
Yeah, on HBO Max. Both of them are, yeah. So, and like I said, and even Doom Patrol was not what I was expecting at all. And the Jane character is she has 64 personalities, and every one of them has a different superpower. And it's just like for the whole first season, you know, just stuff starts popping out, and you start learning more about her. And really, all four. The other two that are part of the Doom Patrol is one was a pilot who was a closet homosexual in the 60s, and he was like in this experimental aircraft, and this like interdimensional being inhabited him, and it's like a lightning. He's all burned up, and he's like wrapped up like the mummy. And then the fourth is she was an actress in the 40s in like the golden era of film, and she got like infected with this like thing, and now she turns into the Blob like anytime she has anxiety. So like it's really cool because like all four of them, like their superpowers are like kind of okay, but kind of awesome in certain senses. But then like they're all like just a little bit shitty people too, you know.
Check you out, Joe.
This is an old Doom Patrol comic.
Awesome.
From I think it's back when comics cost 35 cents. I'm guessing the early 70s.
Wow, that's awesome.
I know, right? Yeah.
I've been hoping for a while that they would do, and I don't know if they're going to do it now because of Black Panther. They do an Excalibur run because, like, after the Avengers was Excalibur, and that had some of my favorite characters that they brought in. Like they had Archangel from X-Men was in it for a while, and War Machine, and Black Panther, and Shadow Cat. It was like that whole team was cool.
Nightcrawler,
yeah, was in it. Yeah,
Lockheed the Dragon.
Lockheed the Dragon. Yep.
I know they're doing another Black Panther movie. It's supposed to come out next year.
Yeah.
Black Panther, Wakanda Forever is the name of the movie.
Yep.
Yeah. But I don't know if
I'm
they're
very interested to see what they do there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They might
unfortunately Chadwick Boseman's no longer with us.
Yeah, that's
may rest in peace.
Yes,
absolutely. It was a phenomenal Black Panther. He really just fit the role well.
That role, yep.
That and Ant-Man were two of the Marvel movies that I was not expecting to enjoy as much as I did. And then I watched them and was just kind of blown away with how awesome they were. Like Ant-Man just knocked me off my feet with how good it was. I was like, this is such a good movie. Even if it was like the only movie that they, you know what I mean? It was great. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I actually 100% agree because a friend of ours, Lee Pierce, told me that Ant-Man's probably his favorite in the entire MCU. And I agreed with him because I've been watching all the MCU here just recently, just rewatching everything, you know, just because I have it at my disposal, might as well do it. And then, but I got to Ant-Man now. Those two movies are probably the most entertaining out of the entire MCU for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think you could have found a better actor to play Ant-Man than Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Like,
well, and he was one of those characters that was kind of like a throwaway character a little bit anyways in the comics. It's almost like with what Jason Momoa did with Aquaman. Like there was nobody else that was ever going to make Aquaman cool other than him.
No.
You know?
Not at all.
I mean, I remember I was watching I don't know, HBO Max, like I just got a couple weeks ago and they have all the Adult Swim, and I was watching an old Robot Chicken, and there was the one where they're all like mocking Aquaman the whole time. He's like trying to talk to the fish, and it was like the real world Metropolis is what the bit was. Yeah. And he's like yelling at the fish in the fish tank, like, I know you can hear me. And all that stuff. It was hilarious.
Why don't you answer me, you son of a bitch?
That's exactly what mine was. Yeah, oh, I love it. My girlfriend, she just does not know what to think of some of that stuff, especially like I put on C-Lab the one night, and she's like, I don't get this at all. So, but it's like every once in a while, I randomly said, I yelled something heroic chicken the one day. I was like, there's a war going on. My daddy says I ain't got to go. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, she just looks at me like I'm crazier than I actually am. So, but yeah. That's been cool though, because there's been some stuff that she was not exposed to, and then we got a chance to a couple weeks ago we watched Dune, and she had never seen Dune, and that was like a really cool, because that was one of those movies I've seen it so many times. I probably wouldn't just like sit down and watch it, but the fact that like I saw it on a streaming service, like we gotta watch, you have to watch Dune at some point in time. And I'm really excited for that new one too, because that's one that they've been they did it a couple times as miniseries and stuff, and it was okay, but that they're actually like putting big money into it now. And I know what Craig was saying about previews, but the preview does look pretty badass for Dune. So.
It does, yes.
Yeah,
Dune was one of those movies I watched as a kid, like the original one with Kyle MacLachlan, and just was like okay. Like, I guess to sum it up, I used to read Maxim magazine back in the day when I was like, late teens, early 20s, just whatever, it's like, it's a magazine geared toward me, whatever. And they used to have funny sections in there. And one of them was Dune, and it had a picture of Sting. It just like standing there with just a fucking, his underwear on. And it's underneath it said, recently, the United States Geological Society has determined that there is not enough square footage on planet Earth to grow enough marijuana in order to smoke to understand this movie. I know there's a lot of build up to the punchline, but I got a chuckle out of it. Yeah, I thought that shit was funny.
That's funny, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like one of my favorite things about that movie is that like he's narrating, like you're hearing his thoughts, through the whole movie, and it actually like carries it in certain scenes, and it builds the tensity and everything rather than, I think that era of sci-fi was so cool in like the 70s and 80s because they didn't have special effects that were that great. So they really had to like rely on story being like way more involved. Like one of my favorite ever, the special effects are okay, but is Enemy Mine with Dennis Quaid in it. Yeah.
And Lou Gossett Jr. Yeah,
Lou Gossett Jr. And that's really like I mean, like the sets are okay, but most of it's just them talking on the planet, right? But like the story is so good that the fact that they didn't have great, special effects didn't really affect that. Or like other than like the stupid metal robot in it, Logan's Run was another one that was like that. Like the story in Logan's Run, you're so involved in it of like wanting him to get out, and like, oh, he's 30, he's gonna renew and have to die and all that. That like the bad sets or whatever, it kind of, the storyline paints over that some. And you don't really see that too much in movies anymore. I think that's why I enjoyed The Mandalorian so much, was because it was a lot more story based than just CGI fight based, more around the characters rather than, and I think that Jon Favreau knew that's what Star Wars fans were missing, because 7, 8, and 9 were just CGI kids movies,
Yeah,
so,
my wife and I are in the middle of season 2 of The Mandalorian right now.
Okay.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Like,
every episode of that. Every is good.
Every episode's like a movie.
Oh yeah. Chef's kiss.
Sure. Yeah. It might take a little bit for it to grab you, but eventually it will.
Well, wait till you see the end of season 2. It's there's some insanity that happens.
I'm excited.
Yeah. There's a lot of fan service for all the kids who grew up watching the original series.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. While we're on the subject, I got to ask you the question.
Yeah.
Empire or Jedi?
Oh, his best? Empire. Yeah. I mean, I hate to sound like everybody else, but it's just even if it wasn't a Star Wars fan, I just watched that, it would be a great movie. I remember my one girlfriend, Heather, had never seen those, and like we were stuck inside on a snowy Saturday, and we watched the original 3, and at the end of it, she was like, that was a really good movie. And she wasn't even like into sci-fi that much, She's like, I want to know what happens. And I was like, oh, well, guess what? Teddy bears are going to destroy the Empire. So yeah, I mean, Return was good. It got a little bit campy at the end, but even like as a kid, I still enjoyed it. As far as the prequels, I mean, I felt like, looking back on it now, like watching episode 1, like I really like pity Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor, because like I think that they tried their best to like carry the movie, but then like everything around them was so bad that like, and even the dialogue, like the dialogue written wasn't that great, and like Liam Neeson made it at least good,
Well, and then Samuel L. Jackson too, you got to give him credit.
Yeah,
movies, for sure.
Yeah, and 2 and 3 were incrementally better. You know what I mean? I mean, I liked Attack of the Clones. The only thing that I didn't, even as a kid, that kind of confused me was like, they're like, oh, so all the clone troopers are the, you know, the Empire army, but why are all the stormtroopers clones also? Like, they never really like explain that. Like, I read enough in the extended universe and all that to like actually understand what happened.
Right. But
yeah, but like for as a kid, I mean, that's a movie that shouldn't have
the movies. You just it confuses the piss out of you. For sure.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's, you know, but it's with anything like that. Whenever you have the original thing and it's not all about merchandising and all that. I mean, the artist puts so much. I mean, George Lucas, you know, remortgaged his house like 4 times to make that movie. You know, like if Star Wars wouldn't have made it, you would never have heard of George Lucas ever, because he would have filed for bankruptcy and did not, you know. And even his first movie, THX 1138, is a phenomenal movie, and like most people aren't even aware of. American Graffiti too. Yeah, that was before Star Wars also. Yeah. You know what's crazy was Harrison Ford was 35 years old and he was a carpenter in Ron Howard's house. And Ron Howard's like, you should be the bad guy in my movie. And then the second movie he did was fucking Star Wars. Like, like I mean,
that's just fucking mind blowing.
Yeah, like can you imagine that? Like that luck as an actor to like get your second role that you land is Han Solo. Yeah.
And then hate it.
And then hate it, yeah. Yeah. And I remember when that famous interview where like the nerd asked him, he's like, "Who shot first, you or Greedo?" And he's like, "I don't care." He's like, "I don't." He's like, "I don't care who shot." You know, he's like, "Why do you people care?"
Not give a shit.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because like Mark Hamill kind of seems like a nerd, and then like Carrie Fisher was like an actress and always an oddball and stuff, but like Harrison Ford, like he plays like some of the nerdiest role, like the roles that geeks and nerds love the most, like, you know, Blade Runner and you know, Indiana Jones. And Han Solo, obviously. And he's like, just seems like the least kind of guy that would like ever, would like be into that kind of fandom at all. So it's interesting.
He's just so calm all the time.
Yeah.
And then he plays like super high strung characters, and then you see him in real life, and you're just like, "That's the same guy."
What's really been crazy with like the MCU, and I guess just like superhero movies in general in like the 2010s and now obviously is like the rebirth of careers that it gave to people. Like I remember when Robert Downey Jr. was like a punchline for a long time of like just of Hollywood, like, oh, that's what happens when you give a kid a bunch of money and then he gets hooked on drugs and ruins his life. And then like he did Scanner Darkly and he did Tropic Thunder and then did Iron Man, and it was like Iron Man was just so phenomenal. It was like, and then Mickey Rourke was kind of the same way whenever he did Sin City, because he was like, you know, kind of been disgraced for a while. And Marv is like one of my all-time favorite characters from a movie ever. Like he's just so like you get so emotionally involved for him, and like really he's like trying to avenge a prostitute. Like it's not shouldn't be that exciting of a story, you know what I mean? But you get super involved, you know, with him in that aspect. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, who else that may happen to. At least it seems like I'm especially seeing Owen Wilson and Loki. Is like, man, everybody's going to be in the MCU at some point in time for some character. Yeah, like it's just nuts, you know. So, but it's cool. It's cool to see, and people like Chris Pratt. I mean, obviously everybody knew him as Andy from Parks and Rec, and then to see him like, you know, be Star-Lord and still be kind of funny, but you know, be a badass in certain senses, and you know,
he was also in the new Jurassic Park movies.
And
Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, I think he did pretty good in those movies too.
I watched the first one, but I haven't seen the second one yet.
I haven't seen Fallen Kingdom, but I thought he did a pretty good job in Jurassic World for sure.
Yeah, I love all the Jurassic movies. They're some of my favorites, like along with Star Wars. Like I don't care what anybody says. I love the Jurassic movies. I love because I'm a big fucking dinosaur fan.
Yeah. But we got to agree, Jurassic Park was a bit of a dumpster fire. Jurassic Park 3 was a bit of a dumpster fire.
It was. It was a masterpiece of shit, like Styles would say.
As Chris Styles like.
I enjoyed different aspects of those movies. You know, definitely the one franchise, nerddom franchise, I'm really curious to see what they do with now is Star Trek. Because like they rebooted it with the new movies of Chris Pine, and it seems like that kind of fizzled out. And they did that Picard show on CBS All Access, was actually really good. I watched that. Yeah, it was really cool. And Discovery was like okay, but I just don't feel like it has enough like people who really care about it that it's going to stick around for forever. So I'm really curious to see if they do something with Next Generation cast again, or with the new. I mean, because the new Star Trek films with like the reboot of Captain Kirk, they were all pretty good. I mean, they were, I don't really feel like any of them was like a bad movie or any, So I thought that even like Beyond, that one was cool. The alien chick that was with him was really cool in that. And so yeah, I was a huge the Next Generation fan, and Voyager and Deep Space Nine. I thought all three of those were great, just great series. And it was funny. There was a while where I was like falling asleep when Netflix, before they would stop you at 3 episodes, I would fall asleep to Next Generation like every night. And then like I realized it was a problem because like my every day I was like, I wonder what Commander Data would think about this. Or like LaForge would probably say this in this situation. I was like, I'm watching fucking too much Star Trek. You should be listening to it every night while I'm sleeping. I'm dreaming about like, fucking the Counselor Troy and everything. And so
shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, how about what happened to him, man? I mean, he just totally went in a different direction. Yeah, not whatever what all I expected when I watch a little innocent Wesley Crusher. Now he's like selling weed and all this stuff. Like, it's crazy.
Yep.
What are some other movies that are coming out this year that you guys are pumped for as far as geeky nerdy movies?
Black Widow, obviously.
Yeah, Black Widow.
Okay. Yeah.
That's one I'm looking forward to right now.
And the Eternals and what is it? Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm curious to see with Spider-Man, the third one, how much multiverse shit are we dealing with? Because I keep hearing rumors of this and this and this. I know that Alfred Molina's confirmed, and so is Jamie Foxx. What else they gonna do?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's this movie, I'm trying to remember what it's called now, but it has the guy who played Prince Oberyn in Game of Thrones. Yeah, and I think it's called Outer Ring. It's like a space movie that I watched, and it's about this girl. It was really cool. It's this girl and her dad.
I saw it on one of my streaming services. I can't remember.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you guys have access to Google and can. It's Michael Pena, or not Michael Pena. I can't remember the guy's name. He played Prince Oberyn, and he was in Narcos also.
He's the Mandalorian.
He's the Mandalorian. Yeah.
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. So he's in this sci-fi movie where there's this like planet that's like out on the edge of the universe of what's known by humans, and it's a mining planet. And this girl and her dad go down on like the last, run before the spaceship's going to leave. And after it leaves, they're going to be stuck on this mining planet, Well, Pedro, he kills her dad, and then he realizes he's stuck on this planet and she's stuck on this planet. So they have to work together to try to get off the planet together. You know what I mean? And it's really cool. It was like an indie sci-fi movie, and I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. And
I just pulled it up here. The Prospect?
The Prospect. That's what it's called. Yeah. You guys definitely got to check that out. It was like one of those like indie sci-fi movies. It's on Netflix. Yeah. It was like an indie sci-fi movie. Was not expecting it to be as good as it was, and it just like knocked it out of the park. And the girl who played the main character was cool. The bad guys were cool. Like everything was. I was just really involved. So.
Check that out, sure.
Yeah. So, and there's a couple other ones. There was a new Bruce Willis sci-fi movie that looked kind of cool. I think it was called Breach. It looked interesting. That I watched a preview for the other day. Yeah, but yeah, Black Widow definitely does look good. In the Eternals. I am super curious about what they're going to do with Spider-Man as well, because there was a fan theory and people talking about for a while that they were going to do a movie with the multiverse where they were going to have Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in it, you know what I mean, as Spider-Man at some point in time, which I thought would be an interesting way, at least to tie those movies in, because it's like, how many times do we need to see a new Spider-Man,
And for God's sake.
Yeah, not that like Tom Holland's not okay at it, but then people are like, we don't like Tom Holland. Like, just shut up and let him be Spider-Man. Like,
no kidding, dude.
Yeah, it's like, I can't believe
the kid is crushing it. So just shut up, angry nerds.
He's probably my favorite Spider-Man to this point, to be honest with you.
he has the Queen's accent going for him too. You know, like he's obviously British, but he took on a Queen's accent.
Yep. Yeah, he has a high British accent. That's what my girlfriend's the same way too, which I enjoy that because it's cute, you know, and sexy. You know, she'll be like, you know, she'll say something to be like, "You look really sexy today," instead of being like, "Oh, you look really good." that wouldn't be hot at all. I wouldn't enjoy that. I'd feel like if you were Cogney, it would probably just turn me off. But yeah.
Oh man.
Yes, no, she's a sweetheart. It's been interesting, you know, with just talking about like punk music and geekdom and everything, like showing, yeah. And it's funny, like I've let her listen to like Catch 22 and Street like the one day. She's like, "It's so fast," and I was like, "Yeah, it is." Like it's like I just don't understand why they want to play so fast. I'm like, I don't know.
Fun.
It's fun, yeah. So, and I've gotten her into some things that. You know, even some British things that she really wasn't into. Like she never watched the IT Crowd, and I got her turned on to the IT Crowd. Yeah, and we watched a ton of that. And So then that show's just hilarious. Yeah, there's a lot of British sitcoms that are great. Another one that's really good. It's on Hulu. Is called Peep Show. If you never got a chance to watch it,
Peep Show. Yeah,
it's about these two guys in England, and one of them's like super neurotic and has like a boring job at an insurance company, you know, and like is really into history and stuff. And then the roommate is like a DJ who's high on drugs all the time, who doesn't have a job and like never can make rent. And yeah, so it's pretty interesting. It's called Peep Show, but it's on Hulu. So
it almost sounds like it's in the same spirit as like The Young Ones.
A little bit, yeah, but it's more like it reminds me a little bit more of like The Office or something, just the way it's shot. There's a lot of like direct like looking at each other. Yeah. And but it's funny, man. It's also like Seinfeld, where like nothing ever works out for them. And like I don't know, sometimes like I like shows like that, you know, where it's like just nothing. Yeah, or like Curb Your Enthusiasm the same way. Like nothing ever works out. One of my favorite scenes ever in Curb Your Enthusiasm is whenever he is in this lady's house and he like wants to find a better bathroom, right, than like the guest bathroom. Larry David. So he goes up and he has this drink with him, and he goes in this little girl's room, and he actually spills his beer on like her doll. So he takes the doll like in the bathroom to like wash the doll off, and like in the process of washing the doll off, he gets all this like water on his pants. So then he like grabs a towel and is like wiping his pants with the doll in hand, and like the girl's mom walks into the bathroom, and he's like standing there with her doll like wiping his pants in front of the mirror. Like, the most awkward. It was just the written scene of events of like the way that he wrote that into like that happening was so funny. And then it was like he just like grabs his life. He's like, "We gotta go. I'm sorry. We gotta go." And she's like, "Why? I'm having a good time." It's like, "I'll explain later. We gotta go. Like we can't stay at this party anymore." It was the funniest thing ever. And I like shows like that. Like yeah, Peep Show's kind of like that too. There's the one episode where he meets Mark, the main character. He finally meets this girl that he likes, and she has a dog. Well, she asks, you know, like, "Can you watch this dog for me?" Right? And they're out, and I can't remember what happens. I think like they trip and fall, and they fall on the dog, and they kill it. Like him, and it's funny. God. Yeah, and it's like her prize. So they take they're like, how? And she's coming back, like, where that's like, we gotta get rid of the dog. So like they try like burning it, and it doesn't burn, and like they try all these things. So they put it in a bag, right? And then like standing there with this bag, and she like comes up, and like everything is going all right, and finally they're like, "There's something funny in that bag," and like they open up the bag, and the dog's carcass falls out, and he's like, "I'm just," and then they just like run away, like him and the dude just run away. It's like, well, ruined all chances I ever have of this girl, like never talking to her ever again. The Peep Show's like that. There's just like every episode is like something horrible happens to the main characters in like some funny way, and yeah. So I enjoy that kind of comedy.
Check that one out for sure, dude.
Yeah, I wrote all that shit down.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
I was just no. Go ahead and say what you're gonna say. We're about to wrap it up.
Oh, that's what I figured you were gonna do. That's fine. Yeah.
But Steve, thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun.
Great conversation with you, man. You're an interesting guy. Come back anytime.
Yeah, and anytime you guys want to have me or whatever, you know, I might be able to get you guys some other guests too, as far as like, you know, other punk bands or whatever. So I'll let Joey know, and you know.
That'd be great, man. Thank you. We appreciate that.
We appreciate.
Yeah, no. Anything I can do to help you guys, you know, I always try to. This is like my third or fourth podcast that I've done for people talking about the videos and stuff, and I try to always support you guys in any way I can too. Appreciate you having me on, and appreciate you guys watching. Just want to say, everybody, you know, on Facebook, look up Stephen King's Pajama Jams. I'm always putting out new ones randomly. I think there's like 60 of them so far that I've done, so there's a lot on there, and I'll be dropping them all on YouTube in July. And yeah, and then I'm working on a record right now. My solo project's called Stephen King and His Other Personalities, and that should be out probably November or December of this year. So I'm looking forward to it. All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. It was a great time.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Steve, man. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you very
take it easy,
much.
guys. Peace out.
Talk to you soon.
Yep.
Oh,
trying to figure out how to hang up here, guys.
It's still a good dude. Still a good dude.
There we go. Stop it.
There you go. Oh.
That was a damn good episode, guys.
It was. That's a good
Yeah.
What got into that cat?
Whoa! What was that? Yow! Look at that! What's got into that cat? Huh?
What's got into that cat?
Great tasting Friskies, filled with energy producing nutrients to bring out the frisky in your cat.
What's got into that cat?
Attention! Your gym teacher escaped from charm school, irons his underwear, watches hygiene films. He says, anyone chewing bubble tape owes me 50 push-ups. The lunch lady wears a hairnet, serves mashed potatoes with an ice cream scoop, puts gravy on everything. She says,
bubble tape is not part of a well-balanced diet.
bubble tape, it's 6 feet of bubble gum for you, not them.
There we go. All right.
I did something good. I'm kidding. I brought Stephen King into the Geek Den.
Yep. But I took a little longer nap than I thought I was going to. Meant to be 15 minutes and ended up being over an hour.
For shame, Greasy. For shame.
No, it's all good because when I woke up to a message from Eric Buteau of Jughead's Revenge and the fourth in line, and he has confirmed that he will be joining us next. So we will be good to go there.
Awesome.
Did I freeze up? Did I freeze up?
Yeah, you might want to repeat that. You froze up for a second there.
I said Eric Buteau from Jughead's Revenge and Fourth in Line is going to be here next week. Talk with us. So
nice.
There you go.
But this was a good episode, boys.
This was, yeah. This was
we
pure
talked to Stephen
gold.
King, the author.
We talked to
of
Stephen
Cemetery
King.
I didn't have to go on a Star Wars
Knockers.
rampage either.
No, you didn't, and that was. We found somebody who can talk Star Wars. But till next week, boys.
All right, gentlemen.
This has been Punk Rock Geek Den.